Hey, you want some of this?
Yeah.
Oh, looks good, huh?
Well, too bad you can't have it. Today we're talking pizza, specifically of the New York City variety, a place I was fortunate enough to visit very recently to check out their food scene. That classic combination of bread, sauce, and cheese is one of Italy's greatest gifts to mankind, and despite their peculiarities, the residents of the Big Apple supposedly do it pretty well.
Got Louis Vuitton because I'm banned from the Gucci store.
I'm going to cover some of New York's Brooklyn best pizza spots, so I can jack their swag and recreate it in my own home kitchen. Grab some Little Caesars, grab some tap water, and get hungry with me. If I don't have you foaming at the mouth and pawing at your screen by the end of this video, I will have failed as a seasoned content creator.
You are challenging a god, fool.
Gods have nothing on New Yorkers.
What really is the best pizza in New York, you may ask? Well, I needed a starting reference to know, since I'm not from New York, but instead Chicago, where we make pizza into casseroles with quantities of cheese that kill people. Vice had this video on this that I checked out prior to my trip, and this oafish Seth Rogen clone detailed some of his favorite spots in the region we were staying in.
You know, this is a Williamsburg late night eats, but this is my favorite pizza spot in all of Brooklyn, period. So I'm hyped right now.
Vinny's in Brooklyn was the first stop I hit, and I got a more basic grandma slice, which is basically just cheese with basil and a white slice with garlic and no tomato sauce. I gingerly held this slice to admire the floppage of the crust before diving in. The toppings were more basic here, but I was a fan of the crust, especially as I gobbled up towards the base of the pizza, where it was more cracker-like and crispy. I imagine if I was off whatever cocktail of substances or drugs were in this man's system, I would think this is the best shit ever made. Vinny's pizza was overall alright, but it definitely didn't suffice to me as my only taste of New York pizza, so I knew I had to hit another place. After consulting Yelp and some friends in the area, I was brought to La Industry Pizza, which is a little bit more south in Brooklyn. For my refusal to leave the borough on my quest, God punished me by lowering the temperature 15 degrees and eliminating the sun from the sky. La Industry was yet another by the slice spot, but this one had a line out the door, as well as some agreeable political messaging.
Damn you! No! It's not true!
Pizza and the flavors here were a big step up in quality, in my opinion, so I equally had to level up and fold the pizza to capture everything inside like a true New Yorker. We got 4 slices total, including a mushroom one, a burrata slice, fig jam and bacon, which was a unique one for sure, and veggie, which I would say all of them were big-time yummers. The crust here was more doughy and floppy, which was definitely more necessary data for me to note for my homegrown recreation of this pizza. I would say most of the information I collected was about the crust, which was thin, crispy on the outside, chewy on the inside, and big enough to require folding, which I'll definitely try and employ for my own pizza. Everything else about this pizza will be at my discretion, which means it's finally time to assemble my godlike, overpowered, incredible, amazing,
show-stopping, spectacular, never the same, totally unique
pizza.
Oh my god, this is the Aki way.
Let me know your favorite New York pizza spot in the comments. And also while you're down there, please subscribe and join our blossoming community.
Together we're stronger.
The pizza is aggressive.
Oh shit.
Every pizza pie starts with the dough, so this is actually going to be my first time making dough from scratch. Pizza dough, that is. I make hella fucking dough, bro, don't get it twisted. There's actually an urban legend that the reason that New York City pizza is actually so good is because of the water and the mineral content in the water supply. Who's really going to stop me from believing that, you know? Who's really going to correct the record on that one? Nobody. Certainly not you. I actually stole some of the water from my hotel. I put it in a bottle, and then I threw that shit in my suitcase and brought it back to Chicago.
Won't you please offer the chef my usual compliments for tonight's exquisite dinner? It's marvelous!
We start by combining our bread flour, sugar, instant yeast, and salt in a mixing bowl, and then adding our warm water and olive oil into the center. We'll mix this all together until a dough forms, to which we will knead and massage for 8 to 10 minutes. I was originally going to make a joke here about being weird with the dough, but I think that those degenerates on TikTok already did my job pretty well for me. I'm sure you've seen that heinous TikTok slut chef content. We'll shape our dough into a ball and place it in a lightly greased bowl to proof and cover with plastic wrap. Because I'm really invested at this point, I'm actually going to be proofing this over the course of multiple hours. Yeah, it's been a few hours.
Oh my god!
Now I get the distinct pleasure of beating the shit out of this dough like it's my ex-wife punching bag to release any air bubbles that may have been trapped during the process of fermentation or proofing. We form these into balls again, and then to let them chill out on the counter covered for 15 to 20 minutes. Every person online ever advises that you crank your oven as high as possible, so I will be doing that with my oven. Don't know how high I can get, let's check it out.
The fire will consume Gotham.
And then I'm also going to include my pizza stone that I just ordered off of Amazon about 24 hours ago, and that'll heat up in there as well. This is when I stretch my dough balls out using gravity, similar to what will happen to my own balls over the next 50 years, and start assembling our sauce and toppings on the dough. We don't want this to be too moist, so I'll use just enough of this tomato sauce to lightly cover the dough, and then apply our cheese and toppings, which for today I am using sun-dried tomatoes and some caprese chicken sausage I had in my freezer. While I already want to go hog wild and eat it as is, it sadly needs to cook first, so I will gently and elegantly transfer the za to the pizza stone. Fuck. Get off. Oh my god, my pizza's ruined. No. Oh no.
Why are we still here?
Oh my god.
Just to suffer. Every night, I can feel my leg.
Fuck. At this point, this video quickly went from an action-adventure to a straight-up survival horror experience. As my kitchen lay destroyed, I quickly identified the two objectives that needed to be achieved by any means necessary. 1. Do not cause any serious damage by lighting my home or myself on fire, and 2. Produce something edible. It doesn't have to be good, hell, it doesn't even have to be considered a pizza anymore, but just something I can put in my mouth and slightly enjoy. I started by quickly taking the bottom oven rack out so I could scrape the fallen ingredients off the bottom of the oven. The sausage bites that fell were too tempting for my ape brain to resist, so I feasted on them right there and then amidst the chaos, so I could regenerate some health and sanity. I took a quick moment to ponder every mistake in my life that had gotten me to this point before jumping back into action. The shape of my pizza was worse than the head shape of an inbred Victorian child who didn't get any tummy time, so I used my spatula to fervently smear and beat down the lumps to try and cook things more evenly. While doing this, however, I took minor damage to my right hand and singed off all the hair on my fingers, since the oven is indeed at 520 degrees Fahrenheit. I opened the oven door a little bit later to check the pizza's progression into a Dead Space necromorph, and was immediately greeted with a blast of smoke to my face. You can probably guess what happened next. Yeah, so now I had this really fun minigame to play where I had to go back and forth between fanning my hyper-reactive smoke alarm and trying to rip the flesh of my pizza from the searing hot pizza stone. After all that work, this was the end result. At this point, I was exhausted and feeling nearly entirely defeated, but then the words of the King of New York rang in my ear. I started to take a few bites of the pizza, selectively removing my charred sun-dried tomatoes, and I have to say, this actually wasn't all that bad. The taste of the dough and toppings, at least where they weren't outright burnt, was actually pretty decent, and I had fortunately cooked it long enough to where the dough was not raw at any point that I could detect. It was good enough to the point where I just straight up ate the whole thing, but that was probably just because I was starving from having my ass beat in my own kitchen. With all that said, if you got to this point, I genuinely wanted to thank you for watching. I promise next time we'll make something a little bit more original, and definitely a little bit more not shit. Mwah! I love you.